Part 25 of ranking and reviewing every Academy Award winner for Best Picture. It's not a good one, folks. It's 1931's Cimarron from director Wesley Ruggles. Has anyone heard of this guy? I don't know. I mentioned a while ago that in addition to the 1980s, I think the 1930s, the Best Picture winners, the Academy did a very poor job of predicting which films would be remembered, with the exception of Gone with the Wind and It Happened One Night. Really, a lot of I've kind of heard of that movie type movies. For instance, this year, this is the same year as The Public Enemy with James Cagney. It's the same year as Frankenstein, Dracula. There's still remembered, classic movies from 1931. Cimarron's not one of them. So this is a Western, and I wish it had a better story, but I love the genre of the Western, and I had always heard that the 1939 John Ford film Stagecoach had kind of lent credibility to the Western, that it was like this kind of pulp thing before that. So it was surprising to see that this genre had already won an Academy Award for Best Picture. It's one of the first Best Pictures. And it's I don't want to say it's easy to see why, because I don't think it's a very good movie. It's not a very compelling story, but there's some good acting, mainly by Irene Dunne. Everyone else, whatever. But there's the spectacles of this movie. Just look at the opening shot where there's hundreds or seemingly thousands of extras. It's that classic old Hollywood epic stuff, really before that was fully established as part of the cinematic language. This is 8 years before Gone with the Wind. But though I mentioned the story not being that interesting, and I stand by that, the biggest problems of this movie is it's just friggin' racist. It's interesting to see that this movie is spot on with the Native Americans are victims. They got screwed over in Western expansion in Oklahoma and in so many other places. But then still depict black characters the way they do. It's just I don't know. You'd think we could figure out, if we figure out one, we figure out the other. So this is ranked very poorly. It is one of the worst, arguably the worst, at least, of the ones I've seen so far. I have it slightly above Around the World in 80 Days, mainly because it's an hour shorter. And if I'm going to be bored, I'd rather be bored for 2 hours than 3. But yeah, don't watch this one. It's not worth it. The next one I'm doing is a Western that is worth watching, so please stay tuned for Dances with Wolves.